Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? How's everybody doing?
Doing well, Bernice.
Hey, how are you? Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Meredith. Hi, Casey. How you all doing?
Good. How are you?
We're pretty good too. Pretty good. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, we're pretty excited for tonight. And I think our audience is also pretty excited to have such amazing women representing such amazing, wonderful our partners, and also wonderful I want to call them team, doing amazing things for our military spouse community. You know, to us, our partners are part of our team. We're all MSM, and the fact that I have you guys tonight with us, addressing the concerns of the community with the COVID-19 and employment and all those things. But before we start, I just want to welcome everybody who's watching us. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time tonight with us. And I want to introduce you to some amazing and wonderful women. And I'm going to let them speak for a little bit so they can introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Elizabeth. First of all, I want to congratulate Elizabeth because she's now Freedom Learning Group's CEO, which is really exciting. Congratulations, Liz. So you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for including us tonight. We love any time that we can partner together around the country and around the world. And really message to folks that we are all in this together. So I'm Liz O'Brien. I'm the new CEO at Freedom Learning Group, and really honored that our co-founders of Nathan and Stacy decided to welcome me on board. And we're excited for the expansion and the growth, but mostly for the fact that we're going to be able to continue to not only serve military spouses, but expand that service to them as well through employment.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Liz. Kelly from Hire Heroes USA.
Hey guys, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So my name is Kelly. I'm married to Kelly. So that's how I got my ridiculous name. But I am from Hire Heroes USA. And for those of you who don't know what Hire Heroes USA is we are a national nonprofit that helps military spouses and veterans find meaningful employment. So when you register for our services, you will receive a transition specialist who will help guide you through the whole employment process. So we help with resume revisions, LinkedIn help, networking. We also have a great volunteer corps made up of over 750 volunteers that volunteer their time with us to do in-person, or not in-person, everything's virtual, so even better these days. Mock interviews and career counseling sessions with industry professionals. And then we also have a federal team that helps with federal resumes. So really anything that comes up in your job search, we are here to provide that one-on-one support with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kelly. Meredith from Hire Our Heroes.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith Smith, and I am the program manager for the Military Spouse Professional Network, which is a program of the Hiring Our Heroes initiative through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And what we do in MSPN is we consider ourselves a network of networks. So we have 60 networks as of yesterday around the world, where in those networks, we provide both professional development that is uniquely targeted kind of toward the challenges and nuances of being a military spouse. And we provide the network community connections, the warm handoffs that really are instrumental and foundational for getting and staying employed. Research shows that 80% of jobs come from relationships, and we try to be in our networks a catalyst and a conduit to those relationships. And so we do that on an all-volunteer force. So all of our networks are run by incredible, dedicated leaders in their communities who are committed to bringing down the and underemployment numbers of military spouses. So yeah, thanks for letting me give my intro.
Thank you so much, Meredith. And I am Berenice Casir, and I'm the CEO and the founder of MSAN. And for those who don't know a lot about MSAN, we are a nonprofit organization that provides peer-to-peer mentorship focus on all the brand new spouses, providing support and mentorship and helping them to have a successful transition from civilian into a military lifestyle. And as I said earlier, we have 3 amazing partners. And throughout the conversation tonight, you're going to learn not only how they'll be able to help you in need right now, but also how MSAN is collaborating with 3 amazing nonprofit and also Freedom Learning Group to bring you the resources and the support that you need. I mean, we are very careful that when we bring a partner into our team, we do not overlap services. Why? Because we all need to make sure that we have a successful collaboration where we can actually create a vision of support and be successful at it. So tonight you're going to learn how MSAN and these 3 amazing women will work together and how we are making an impact in our community, and mainly, like I said, with our brand new community, right, the brand new spouse community. So ladies, with the COVID-19 and all this stuff that is going on, and there's so much uncertainty, and you watch the news and it's so scary, and then you want to go back to normal, but you don't know when that's going to be. The normal right now is so different to what we were used to. Now, we were used to that a lot of us, we had the opportunity to work from home, but we didn't have kids at home. Now we're homeschooling. We didn't have a spouse working from home. Now we have a spouse on top of the kids. So there's a lot going on. And one of the main concerns that we got from the brand new spouses was trying to adjust to the new normal. Many of us can have the discipline to work from home, but it's hard to have a disciplined routine right now when you have the kids and you're homeschooling and your spouse is there and everybody needs your attention. How are you doing the working from home with everything else on top of your mission? Because you have a big mission. You are leading amazing programs. What kind of tips can you give our audience tonight?
I think I'll jump in and say we have to put our past expectations and routines to the side and really allow ourselves grace, right? There are so many changes. Yes, to your point, we're accustomed to working from home. Yes, to your point, we're used to the government changing orders and lives on a minute's notice, but we're not part of that old normal anymore where we could control certain parts. And it also has to start, I think, at the top down, right? Embrace the messaging from your leadership. They should be messaging in theory. This is okay. I don't care if your new normal is working from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight. And if there are kids popping in and out, that's okay, right? And also allowing ourselves to that freedom to embrace the new normal. And I think there's pieces we can overlay to help create some structure. But we are now, to your point, homeschooling, we're working, we are in theory always high producers as well. And so that internal drive to do well is a lot to balance as well. One of the things we've been very intentionally messaging to Freedom Learning Group employees is that this is okay. Whatever you need to do to adjust, this is okay. And we will get through it together as a team. But it's really important to allow ourselves grace through this process.
Yeah, very true. Very true, very wise. So sometimes we want to stick to what we know how to do. And we were talking for the past 2 weeks, we had people where we were talking about resiliency and mental wellness and everything, and how a lot of the times, military spouses, we have the weight on our shoulders about us being the backbone of the family, about us being resilient and always keeping everything under control, even if life is unpredictable. And I think right now there's not a lot of things that we can control or can be predictable. And that can drive us a little bit like all over the place, because that tiny portion that we thought we were able to control is no longer there. So now with employment and everything else happening, what do you think, Meredith?
Well, I just want to say, Liz, I feel like I needed the Give Yourself Grace message today. So thank you for the good reminder. I think, I think that's incredibly important. I think adjusting expectations of yourself is important, and not lowering expectations. I think there's a difference. And as someone who feels like an adjustment can be like a lowering sometimes, just having a real conversation with yourself and your support group and saying like, I need to make some changes. It's not that I'm, not going to produce the quality of work or, take care of my children to, the way that I want to, but things have to look different right now because the world is different. I say that as someone who doesn't have children, full disclosure. I do have a husband at home who, you mentioned navigating working together. Yes, you learn all kinds of stuff about their working style that you didn't know. And, it's challenging and frustrating. But I also think it can be an opportunity. This is going to sound really corny, but I think it's true, to build another type of resilience. And I find myself drawing on, other experiences that I've had in this time that I would not have had I not been affiliated with the military previously. And so that has actually been a pretty empowering component of all the challenges that have come with finding a new normal. So give yourself lots of grace, adjust to the reality as much as you can, and reach out to a support group, friends or family. And I'll plug a great resource that we have in the military community through Military One Source. There's a lot of great support offered through therapists there as well, if you need that.
Yes. Thank you, Meredith. And I want to go with Kelly. Kelly, she was on her way PCSing, and she was getting ready, and then coronavirus, and then everything went crazy. I'm glad that you are kind of settled now, Kelly, and plus now you're with a new normal and everything else.
Yeah, I definitely got caught in the fire there. During PCS, we were getting ready to move to Boston. My husband's in the Air Force. We got stationed there, and then they put the stop movement in place. And then since he was in the middle of moving, they allowed him to go, and we finally got here. So very thankful that we're here. But with that said, I know there's a lot of military spouses still in limbo. So it's definitely a very stressful time. I was messaging Bernice like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. Like, this is terrible. But military spouses were super resilient. Like, if anybody's going to conquer Corona, it's going to be us. So I love what Liz says. Just, this is going to be different. It's going to look different than everyday life. My whole company is working from home right now, and we have to kind of figure out how to work from home. And full disclosure, I don't have kids either, but my husband is like a human child. He's at home too. So yeah, it's definitely different, but definitely give yourself grace, know that this is, not the new normal, and you can't hold yourself to that expectation that everything's going to go like usual. There's going to be different things that come up. And I think right now is also a good time to kind of realize if you are working for a company and the company is very harsh on you and they're not giving you that grace, now is the time to really realize, like, this is when businesses will take care of their employees or maybe not. So, to really just do a self-assessment on that, and, going forward, like, if you're not being treated well in this kind of situation, then to look for other job opportunities down the line. But with that said, like, just give yourself grace during this period, and hopefully we'll all get through it.
That's right, and we will. And, and just what you said, Kelly, is going to bring us to the next point. Now that everybody's working from home, a lot of us, or a lot of are experiencing working from home for the very first time. And men are going to like it, and probably they don't want to go back to the office because, it's so convenient to be at home. And once the kids go back to school and the spouse goes back to work, it gives you a lot of flexibility for a lot of things. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. A lot of people are going to have to go back to work and go back to their offices. Probably this is the time when a lot of them are going to realize that they want to work from home. And now I need to find a job that I can do to work from home. So I'm gonna ask Liz, because Freedom Learning Group is doing amazing when it comes to helping you find a job working from home. And I know Meredith and Kelly have a lot of great tips too. But I think this is a new thing that we're gonna see within our community. How we're seeing that working from home is very convenient.
Yeah. So when I think about the model that Nathan and Stacy created for Freedom Learning Group, realizing the amazing talent pool that military spouses brought to the table, and it's that talent that has set Freedom Learning Group apart in the content curriculum development world and e-learning platform world. And so as we've navigated this process, we haven't missed a beat because our entire organization is comprised of remote and geographically dispersed workers. And so our clients are seeing the power of that. And so for us right now, for Freedom Learning Group, we're really uniquely positioned to thrive through this crisis. And I think it's something that our clients are seeing. So as our competition is shuttering brick and mortar and having to move from home and not prepared to do that, we've had seamless transition, right? There hasn't been any transition. And so there's power in that our clients are seeing that success right now and the power that comes from working from home. But I think there's also a unique opportunity right now, and Freedom Learning Group can certainly champion this and help lead the way as an employer, that we have to be very forward-facing about this narrative around remote work opportunities, help folks understand, help employers understand the value they're seeing right now in not paying overhead and commuting costs and all of those factors that go into brick and mortar locations, and showing them, hey, we had to rush to get this technology to move workers remotely, but it's working. I was chatting with Cheryl Mason the other day from the Board of Veterans Appeals. They are now 99% remote. Which is unbelievable. And I know that's a charge that Cheryl has led, and they were able to do it in a week and a half, and they're hosting hearings virtually as well. So if we can do it at the highest levels in various government agencies, and we can do it successfully at Freedom Learning Group, I mean, we're hiring now, right? We are continuing to hire, we're continuing to expand. So if we can capture that message appropriately, and I also think there's another important message here for our fellow Americans and our brothers and sisters, that we as military spouses, we have done remote work, we have done unemployment, we have experienced underemployment. And so while many Americans, this is new right now, we can also serve as a resource. We can serve as folks that can lead the way in this conversation. We can serve as a shoulder for folks to commiserate with and help them understand that this is really challenging, but we've been through it and we've come out standing on top of it. And thanks to folks like Nathan and Stacy, we've shown that solutions can be created to help serve our fellow brothers and sisters across America.
Yep, it is true. It's another opportunity to lead the way, to show how it's done, and that it's successful and it's good for everybody. Yeah, that's very true. Kelly, so what do you have to share about that?
Yeah, so I think now is the time that you will realize if you love working from home or you hate working from home. And those that love working from home and can see themselves, working from home permanently, now is the best time ever to be looking for remote work. Liz mentioned that they're hiring. I think a lot of people think that right now companies aren't hiring. So that's a mistake to think that, because with some organizations definitely are being affected and slowed down their hiring process. On the flip side of that, a lot of organizations still are hiring, and they are looking for remote workers. So I think now is the best time, if ever, to look for remote work. And I know we have more questions coming up on how to find remote work, because sometimes it's a little bit tricky. But I think, keep applying. And if you find yourself in a situation where, you're thriving working from home, this could be a good awakener that, those work from home opportunities, legitimate positions do exist out there. And with military spouses, I work remotely, and I could say that I would be in a very bad place right now if, with the move and everything going on, if I didn't have this ability to work from home. So it's super flexible, and military spouses thrive in remote work. So like I said, now's the best time ever to consider finding a remote job.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Kelly. So yeah, it's very true what Liz and you, Kelly, are saying, and that's gonna take me to you, Meredith. What is it that you see within your networks? Because you guys have this amazing military spouse professional networks and chapters all over the nation and the world. Do you guys are seeing more spouses coming to you asking you, we want to work from home, how do we do it? What do we do?
Yeah, so, I don't know if we've seen more spouses. I think we we constantly hear from spouses, that are looking for various types of roles that are remote and or quasi-remote flexible roles. I don't have any, specific data on whether or not our networks are asking for that at a greater percentage right now. But I think the conversation about, helping the general public and the larger civilian hiring sectors to understand that remote work is not, just some jobs. We are seeing that remote work can really be accessible to a range of industries, a range of skill sets, different areas of expertise. And I'm optimistic that that is going to be one of the most positive and, potentially life-changing outcomes of this time for military spouses. And so the other thing I'll say about, working in a remote environment, our MSPN networks around the world have pivoted to hosting remote events. We typically do monthly or quarterly events in person. And even in that environment, we have pivoted and begun hosting, online virtual events. And I think human connection is incredibly important. And I think, that physical network is incredible, but you can also get so much out of a virtual setting like this, right? Like you're able to connect with people. And so I think this time is going to be a lot of probably opening people's minds to what is possible around remote work and remote engagement.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned about how everybody's looking into so many different things, the skills, the opportunities out there. A lot of the times, some of the spouses that we support, they assume that because we're asking them if working from home is an option, they think it's going to be an entry level. And we're seeing now that working from home doesn't mean entry level opportunities. You can find all kinds of opportunities and be able to work from home. And in order to get there, one of the things that we ask everybody, and I'm going to go with Kelly first here, we always work with Hire Heroes USA when it comes to the resume writing. And I think that's something very important, regardless if you work from home or you're going to try to find employment somewhere else. Before we go into the near future and how it might look, how do we get someone prepared so that in the next, weeks or days or months, when we try to go back into the employment search and try to find maybe a different opportunity because the one we have right now, we don't really like it or it's not good for us. How do we start getting prepared? And I'm assuming it will be with getting your resume ready.
Yeah. So, now is the perfect time to get prepared for when hopefully the world goes back to normal. But even if you're looking for remote work, our Serving Spouses program, I'm our Serving Spouses program manager. And any military spouse that needs kind of job search preparation, I encourage you to sign up with our services, free services, and you will be assigned a transition specialist, like I said, that will guide you through the whole process of finding a job and finding a meaningful job, with that said. So we help with the resume side of things. So if you are not confident in your resume, or you feel like you just need some tweaks to your resume, feel free to register. All of our staff are certified professional resume writers. We'll help you with your resume. We'll redo your resume for you. That way you'll get prepped. The resume is a huge deal of job seeking, but it's not the only aspect. Right now, you could also be focusing on networking and utilizing LinkedIn, since LinkedIn is such a great platform. And that's something Hire Heroes USA can help with as well, is helping you through navigating LinkedIn and how to set up your profile so you feel confident in it.
Wonderful. What about you guys, Meredith, are Hiring Our Heroes?
Yeah. So I would say, we do a lot of things in our networks, and one of the things that we facilitate is, resume review among peers, or connecting spouses who have similar career fields together so that they can really be paired with someone who has expertise, in that particular industry sector. But it's a very organic process. And I think that the point that Kelly makes about, making this time a productive time, if that's your goal, networking is not just in person either. It is certainly online. It's how you show up in the world in, whatever capacity. So I think the other thing that I would say is, we try to caution people against only networking when you think you need a job, right? Networking is ongoing. It's lifelong. It can be fun. It should be, a part of just building your personal board of directors. It should be a part of, helping you navigate career trajectory for a long time. So I'm kind of dancing around your question here, but I think in terms of how to do that, MSPN is really a place for all of those things to happen, and to happen with peer support. It's putting your resume out there for someone to review is a vulnerable thing. Putting yourself into the world to network and to kind of share what you're hoping to accomplish in your career, that's a very vulnerable thing. And so I think, having a place to do that, like, being within our networks or finding a, one-on-one career coach is really incredibly valuable. So I would just encourage everyone to take advantage of these amazing resources that we have as military spouses.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we learn two things. When we need to have a resume, we will go with someone that can help us if we don't even know where to start or how to do it. For so many of you that are watching us and are volunteers, remember that even though you're a volunteer, you're learning skills. You are earning experience. So there's a way how to translate that volunteering time into your resume. So don't ever feel that because you have been volunteer for the 10, 15 years, it doesn't mean anything, because it does. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because sometimes we hear volunteers saying, well, I've just been volunteering, so I don't know what to do. Well, there's a lot. You learn a lot. We do so many things as volunteers that it can be on a resume. We're learning from Meredith that networking is one of the key components. And networking is not just going to an event, and it's not just when you're looking for employment. So now that we know about the resume, now that we know about the networking, now comes the main question was in our poll: how do I find an opportunity to work from home? And I want to ask you, Liz, because now you're representing one of the leading companies that is actually hiring military spouses to work from home, and not on an entry level, but in an amazing opportunity to do great things. And how can you give us some tips and guidance for this?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, especially during this time period, one, identify, we get the question all the time, or the statement all the time: I want to work from home, I want remote work. Okay, but what type of work is it? What industry do you want to enter? I think we're uniquely positioned at Freedom Learning Group to be able to serve a variety of spouses and backgrounds, because we can hire spouses with a broad array for subject matter experts. And these are the folks that write the content and the curriculum for us for everything from physics textbooks to courses for LinkedIn and Coursera and Google. But you have to be able to clearly articulate what that remote opportunity is that you're seeking. And then you have to be prepared. So if you know that you want to go in a certain direction, now is a wonderful time to boost any gaps that you might have. Do you need to take an extra course via LinkedIn to become more familiar? Is there something on Google Primer that you could access or leverage right now in this downtime to make you a more prepared candidate? And I always go back to be open to opportunities. I know Meredith knows this story, but most people don't know that when I went to Hiring Our Heroes, I was a 40-year-old recovering college basketball coach, and I took the lowest paying position at Hiring Our Heroes, and I reported to a 26-year-old. And so it was a very humbling experience to go from leading college basketball programs to starting at the very bottom of a corporation. But Eric Eversole's leadership and the opportunity and the mission really spoke to me, and I could see where I could carve out a path. And so when I say be humble, I mean be open to opportunities, be open to shifting, but be very clear, be able to articulate very clearly what that remote opportunity is that you want to do. And I'm thrilled at Freedom Learning Group, where we've been able to bring people on as subject matter experts and provide them opportunities for progression, or to become project managers or to become senior project directors, so that there's a path for growth there as well.
Oh, Bernice, I think you're muted.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think I was.
In my life.
So true, Liz. A lot of the times we just think about, oh yeah, everybody's working from home and it's cool and it sounds convenient, I want to do it. But sometimes you even have to have discipline in order to be able to work from home and have a routine. And sometimes it can not just be for everybody. So yeah, that's very true. So when it comes to trying to find a job from home, a lot of the times there's a lot of scams. There's a lot of stuff out there. The military spouses are not aware of, and they end up falling into this craziness and others taking advantage of our community. Kelly, do you have any tips for spouses to be careful with that?
Yeah, so definitely be aware of scams. There's a lot of scams out there, targeting the work from home type industry. But as Liz mentioned, kind of just make sure that you're streamlining your search, know what type of jobs that you're looking for. If you are confused at what you want to do some self-assessment tests, kind of, work. If you're a client of Hire Heroes USA, you could do some career counseling. But yeah, so there are tons of scams out there. And my advice is to find legitimate companies hiring military spouses. Do your research on the company. There are also some really great sites out there dedicated to military spouses and finding remote work. Some of them are Flex Jobs and Instant Teams and Boldly. I could go on for days of some of these great organizations that actually vet the jobs that they're posting on their job boards. So try to get yourself involved in those type of roles. And use applicable search terms when you're searching for remote work. So that's one issue that I think that military spouses don't even know where to begin. Because so many different jobs are listing these type of remote telecommute jobs under different search key terms. So be aware of the different terms that companies are advertising their roles as. So telework, work from home, anywhere, I've even seen like anywhere USA jobs as like how to find the job. So be aware of those search terms so you could actually find the roles. And then once you find a job that you're interested in, make sure before you apply to do your research on the company. Make sure it's a legitimate company that has good reviews. You could even go on LinkedIn and see if there's people that work there that you could connect with to do an informational interview. So yeah, just definitely do your research before kind of sending out your resume. And you always want to make sure you tailor your resume around the job itself. So just take that extra time to do your research, tailor your resume, and then, hopefully that will get you callbacks and then into a remote career.
Yep. And that's going to bring me into, if you need a mentor, get one. It's a lot of
Yes.
It might be a little bit hard if you try to do it on your own. So if you need a mentor, get one. So now, Meredith,
Yes.
what do you want to tell us about that?
So couldn't agree more with both what Liz and Kelly are talking about here. But the other thing that I'll reiterate and add is that again, I'll mention part of the wonderful thing about MSPN is that you are immediately plugged into a community of military spouses who are vetting through their own experience. A lot of the employers that are, reaching out to our community to tap into the incredible talent pool that we have. And so I think that that's where, and whether or not someone is trying to, as Kelly said, like scam someone, it's good to know what type of working environment you could be walking into, and that it's a great resource to be able to reach out to other military spouses and hear their experience. The other thing that I'll say, because you all kind of touched on two things that I wanted to bring up, and it's perfect. It's a perfect segue. But Kelly mentioned, informational interviews and really being strategic with, leveraging LinkedIn. And we are actually rolling out over the next few weeks training on how to do an informational interview, how to ask for an informational interview in a way that is, going to be well received. And so look for that for anyone who is in our MSPN network. Several of those trainings will be rolled out in our virtual group. And then we are actually going to be training our network leads in all of our networks so that they can deploy that curriculum to our networks. But the other thing that I'll say is that, this is just a very tactical suggestion, and we will be going over it in a virtual LinkedIn training that is actually just incredible, created for MSPN by LinkedIn. But there are so many back end, I do not understand computer engineering, but so many back end features of LinkedIn and their algorithm that are really powerful tools for finding, like Kelly was saying, meaningful remote work. And so there are ways that you can search for that I was not aware of prior to taking that training. And I think a lot of people are not aware of it. So we will be doing that in our networks pretty soon. But for anyone who's looking right now, there are ways to do that within LinkedIn. So those are my tips on kind of looking for, finding, and leveraging remote work networking things.
Yeah, those are really good ones. And something that I always want to come back and kind of link for the new spouses that we are mentoring at the moment, and they're learning that lifestyle, and they're learning the resources, they're learning who we are. I mean, sometimes for them to hear about the Hire Heroes USA, Harner Heroes, Freedom Learning Group, to them is like, yeah, and what is that? So they're learning from the very beginning, from the basics. So we always try to go back for everything that we're saying and try to connect it so they can have a visual of how it works. And this is the reason why we wanted to bring you guys today, not only because we're always happening with COVID-19, but it's always good for spouses to hear how we actually connect. Our mentors are linking these mentees to those resources. If it's resume writing, if it is trying to find employment from work and they already have a career, if it's someone that needs to network and they need to start going to job fairs. So there's always someone within MSAM that is going to link those spouses to those networks, so they are not alone and they don't feel overwhelmed because, oh my goodness, now I have to write my resume and I need to network and I need to find people and I need to talk to people. I don't know people. So I just want everybody to know that everything that we do it together. And those mentees are always going to have someone by their side to send them to those networks and find that continued support. So I always get excited to talk about how's the vision of MSAN and how we are helping those spouses so that they don't feel overwhelmed. And talking about overwhelm, one of the questions or feedback that we received was that there was a lot of spouses that actually lost their employment or they're on pause, and they don't even know they're going to have employment in the next few weeks or in a few months. And that goes hand in hand with the next one, that says, if I'm afraid that after COVID-19, I'm going to be competing with all the rest of the civilians trying to find employment, because now we're talking about millions of people with unemployment. Have you heard anything about that? Is there something that we can do now that is being proactive so that we can get ready for those things?
Yeah, so I think, Vernice, it is a very fair concern. And it's a conversation that I've been having at some of the highest levels right now. Because we are now going to see Americans that are experiencing unemployment at the same rate as military spouses. And so I think we have to be very intentional about how we're using this time to ramp up. So if you have lost a job, what are your options right now? is there an opportunity to pursue a job right now so that you have employment and have an opportunity for a second income? It may not be your dream job. It may not be your choice job, but it's going to keep you in the job market. So being open to perhaps not the most perfect solution. Is there an opportunity coming out of this? I expect to see an influx, believe it or not, around entrepreneurship. And there's some wonderful tools out there to help military spouses prepare for it. And it's something they should be talking about. If you are somebody that is a subject matter expert, encourage you to head over to freedomlearninggroup.com and check out the jobs that we do have and start filling gaps in your resume and staying current. But it's right now, it is a real concern, and it's going to be an interesting challenge as we position ourselves going into the next 3, 6, and 9 months. And so to Meredith and Kelly, and your point, that network is going to be so unbelievably powerful. And I'm so aware of the fact that you at MSAN are the folks that get the first interactions with those 18, 19, 20-year-olds as well. And so the sooner that we can interact with them if they're seeking employment, the better, because we really need to intentionally grow networks right now so that we can help put them into employment opportunities, because that second stream of income is going to be really important over the next year.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. What do you think, Meredith?
So I will echo Liz's very wise and thoughtful perspective on, I'm hopeful, first of all, that it's unemployment is a terrible thing for anyone. But, I think in addition to just more people being unemployed, I am hopeful that there will be even more empathy for, the experience of military spouses being unemployed at that rate that so many, the country is experiencing as a whole right now. But I think in terms of the concern around competition, one of the things that I have, I've tried to think about it from like a numbers perspective. Prior to COVID-19, we not only had record low unemployment in the country, we also had, I should know the exact number, but we had millions of unfilled jobs. And so I think I take a lot of, or I'm hopeful that like those jobs, those burgeoning industries are still going to be there, are still there now. And there will be more opportunity for new jobs. There will be more opportunity for new industry that doesn't help someone right now. But I think if you're using this time to be reflective, to really articulate what you're interested in and think about where you want to go, there's a lot of opportunity to position yourself in a way, whether it's through taking online courses or ensuring your skill set is where it needs to be when the economy does come back, that you are well positioned to go into one of those very high in demand roles. So that's sort of where my mind goes, but it's incredibly uncertain time, and it happened very quickly, right? It's like a true shock to the entire country system. So I don't know. I hope that's helpful in terms of perspective, but
yeah, and nobody was prepared for something like that. Like you're saying, it happened overnight, and then from one day to the other, it's like, oh, you have to stay home. You cannot go anywhere anymore. Now everything paralyzes, and now everything is virtual, and we cannot actually. We have to network through Zoom and through any of those things, because we cannot go in and knock on people's doors. Now we actually have to send an email. We're going back to emails or text messages and try to network and talk to someone. So Kelly, what have you heard anything of these concerns through the spouses you guys are helping right now?
Yeah, so I've been seeing a lot of this with my clients who are, saying like, I just don't know what to do right now. And my advice is companies are still hiring. So take this time to actually get ahead of the curve, because a lot of civilians and people affected aren't really focusing on job seeking right now. And then maybe when the economy comes back, everybody's going to be job seeking. So there is going to be that competition, but to be proactive, get yourself prepared now and start applying now. So network, get your resume ready and start, leveraging your network and getting prepared for that job search, and start it actually now. Because there are some organizations who not are thriving from this, but are definitely, they need to hire more people because of it. So there's a lot of companies hiring right now, even more than ever. And then just companies who weren't even affected by this. Those are the organizations that are still hiring. So I think a lot of people are thinking like, no one's hiring, like everything stopped. Like, don't think that. Like, do your research, get out there and put your resume out there, because you might actually be able to get a job right now. And I see it with our clients who are getting hired during this time. So yeah, to get ahead of the kind of the competition and the curve, definitely, prepare yourself right this very second.
Yeah, that is very true. I can tell you that I will be one of those who think that no one is hiring and everything is like dying and nothing is going to happen anytime soon. But it's true. I mean, and if we don't look, we're not going to find. And we don't ask, we're not going to get answers. So we can end up just staying in our own little bubble thinking it's really bad out there and we're not getting enough information. And I think I'm an introvert. So staying at home, it's been my normal, that like when I go to a social event, I need to come home and decompress. Now I'm finding myself not being such an introvert anymore. Now I'm missing talking to people and seeing people and interacting and going places and seeing my colleagues. And I'm thinking now, probably what I thought of myself, or what I classified, or what I always thought it was, I've been dealing with myself in a certain way because that's what I thought I was. Now I'm being put in a situation that I'm seeing something different, that I'm learning about myself. And I think that this is something that COVID-19 is bringing, that now that we're at home and we're under just different circumstances, that we're learning something different and we're willing to try something different that we were not used to before. Have you guys experienced anything like that? Like with me, it's like, oh my goodness, I miss people, it was not like that before. I was such an introvert.
I think it's a wonderful time for self-reflection. Folks that know me well know that I am an introvert also, but nobody's this introverted, right? Like I'm about to run down the street and hug people when I'm finally allowed. But I think it's a wonderful time for self-reflection. And I one of the greatest joys I've had from this time is actually being home with my kids and getting to spend time with them and, take lunch. We're eating lunch together in the middle of the day and having conversations that don't normally occur. And I said the other day, I feel like I'm one of the few people who potentially is really just loving this time working from home and being around my kids more so than I've been in probably 5.5 years. So to your point, yes, I'm an introvert as well, but I'm looking forward to that re-entry into the world, hopefully here sometime. And I think it's important we don't start setting time frames of expectation around any of this, because when you do that and then they move, we go through periods of disappointment and despair, and just be realistic about it. We don't know what the end of this looks like. We don't know when it is. San Antonio could end a lot sooner than Northern Virginia and Vegas and New York, right? So we're all on different time frames, and not putting that expectation of an end date around it, I think is really important right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think now we're all gonna have reintegration with society. We're all gonna enjoy it. What about you, Meredith?
So I think I also think it is a good time for self-reflection. I think it's hard, right? Like this is another layer on top of, like you said at the beginning of the call, a life that is so filled with uncertainty and what can feel like is out of our control. I think maybe Kelly said this, but it's a good time to, if we haven't, do some self-assessment, like see what it is that, how we want to use this time. But, ultimately, I think ensuring that you are sleeping enough, eating enough, like really taking care of the very basic things will go a long way to ensuring that we are as healthy as we can be in this time. But you know, I feel like I need advice myself in terms of, you know, how to navigate through change. My family is in a situation, you know, where we are in flux. You know, we're waiting on PCS orders, and that feels really heavy and uncertain at times. But I think I know that I will deal with it a lot better when I create as much structure as I can for myself, and you know, still find ways to feel productive in my day-to-day work.
Yeah. You know, thank you so much for sharing that, Meredith. It's always good for others that are watching us right now to know that not everybody has it all put together all the time. That sometimes we have our meltdowns. That sometimes we need help. That sometimes we're trying to reach out to someone because we're like, okay, I'm done. I'm throwing everything out the window because I don't even know what direction to go. So it's always good for us to show.
Yeah, and to that point, Bernice, I'll just add, you know, I am very sensitive to the fact that people who are watching this video, I don't know what assumptions they make, but like we're employed. And I am so grateful for that at this moment. You know, I graduated from college in the middle of the recession. I went the first 3.5 years of my marriage not being able to find work. And I know what that feels like, and I know what it can feel like to hear from someone who is employed, you know, like giving other people advice. And so I want anyone who's watching to know that I do not take, I hope that this does not come across as you should do this, and that I don't have perspective on what it truly feels like on a very personal level to be going through this and looking for a way to support your family and your long-term financial security in a time of uncertainty. So just put that out there as well. So
yeah, you know, and that's why we do these conversations, because they're real talks, real questions, real answers. We want to make sure the spouses know that this is not a regular briefing. It's not something that we're going to give you expectations. This is the way you should look as a military spouse. This is the mold, and you got to follow it. I mean, they got to know that even us that they are doing things and are helping others, we still have those moments where even us, we need mentors and we need support, and we need each other to continue to move forward. So what about you, Kelly?
Yeah, so I totally agree. If anyone knows me, I'm really open with my story and how I struggled with unemployment as a military spouse. I think even as a young military spouse, I've been married for almost 7 years now, but when we got married, I placed a lot of pressure on myself. I wanted to be that super wife, you know, have the job in my mind, like wanted to be the perfect military spouse, you know, be able to live away from my family and friends and be okay. But it comes crashing down a lot, and you struggle with so many aspects of the military spouse life. And employment is a huge piece of it. And when I graduated with my master's degree, we ended up PCSing to North Carolina, and I thought, you know, I have my master's degree, like I'm going to be able to find a job real quick. I placed a lot of pressure on myself, and months turned into months, and I couldn't find a job, and it was so grueling on me. It takes a lot out of you. Finding a job is a full-time job for sure. So, you know, it takes a lot of work, and I understand how, you know, hearing rejections after rejections, how that takes so much out of you. But one thing that I did not do during that time is I had no support system. So I was newly in North Carolina, had no friends, my family was up in Pennsylvania, and I didn't have that support system. And I didn't reach out to resources. And that was my number one mistake. So if I did, I think things would have worked out differently. And I finally actually stumbled upon Hire Heroes USA and reached out to them. I was a client of theirs and was assigned a transition specialist who literally helped me through the darkest times of my life. And then I networked myself into the organization, and I've been here for four years now. So I've been through it. I know how terrible unemployment is, but I think give yourself grace. don't put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect. And I think eventually everything's going to happen and work out how it's supposed to. I'm a true believer in that. But you just don't put so much pressure on yourself, especially during these really uncertain times. Everybody's going through this, and reach out to your support system. MSAN, reach out to your mentor, because those are the ones that are going to help you through this time. It's your network, your connection, and don't take this time to be completely isolated like we are doing right now. There's so many different, I didn't even know that this platform exists. It's so cool. Like, this is so cool. So like, there's so many different platforms out there that you could stay connected, and don't isolate yourself, because as soon as you kind of feel alone, that's where kind of the thoughts come in and all that. So definitely reach out to your support system and find a mentor who could guide you through this really weird time in life.
Yeah. Something we wanted to do tonight, it was kind of like bring you guys on board and introduce you to our mentees, our audience, and kind of learn and get a little bit of, a lot of the times when we hear from the experts, they give us hope. And tonight it was about trying to give them alternatives, try to give them other different points to think about between now and what everything is going on. And I'm hoping that we can have, an hour is never enough. And I'm hoping that we can have another session like this, but when now the focus will be different. Would it be that we're getting ready to get out of the COVID-19 and we need to get spouses ready? Would it be when we are almost already there and we get need support to know how to navigate? I think that we need a part 2 definitely in the near future, so that we can continue now this was the introduction, this is what we can do, here are the tips. Now the next one can be a little bit more intensive, and when it comes to now we need to get ready, this is what we should be doing now. And so we're gonna give away 2 gift cards. So I know Casey's behind the scenes, she's doing all this cool stuff with the banners and stuff. So she's gonna be randomly picking 2 names from the people that are making comments and watching us right now. And before we go, I want to thank you guys for doing this with us, for sharing your knowledge, your passion, everything that you do. And I want to recommend to our audience and to our mentees that you will be your best advocate. If you are not one of those that can go and advocate with others, provide the feedback to those that are advocating, and they can do that in your behalf. I mean, you can come to your mentors and express your feedback, kind of like what you guys gave us. It was great information, and rely on those that are already doing something. Kind of like Liz was saying earlier, she's been already talking to leaders and to people that are listening to her when it comes to this. I know that Kelly and Meredith will also be able to guide us into, we got this amazing feedback, we got this data, what do we do with it? So every story, every situation, it is something that we should consider, and it's something that others should listen. So don't ever hesitate to provide your feedback. Don't ever hesitate to tell us your story, because your story matters. So before we go, ladies, do you want to give a final thought? Do you want to say your last thing, advice, tip, anything?
Yeah. So I want to remind people, Freedom Learning Group is hiring right now, today. So head over to freedomlearninggroup.com. Since 2017, we've had over 4,000 contract opportunities and paid over $2.5 million to military spouses. And if you don't get picked up for that very first time that you apply again. Remember that there's multiple people applying, but it doesn't mean because you're not picked up this time, doesn't mean you won't be picked up the next time. So head on over to freedomlearninggroup.com today. We're hiring.
Awesome. We will post a link for everybody in the comments, that way people can kind of like go click on the link, go to the stuff, but also our website and our mentors have all the information that you will need if you need to get connected. Meredith.
Yes. So I will. Oh, am I muted? No. Okay. I will say that. So 2 things. The first thing I'll say is, I know your community here is primarily, young military spouses, new military spouses, and the best advice, or maybe most empowering advice I got as a new military spouse, when I asked about how to maintain a career alongside my service member spouse. someone said to me, "This is as much your journey as it is his." And there were days, like truly, that I just had to keep telling myself that, because your interests, your career growth is as important as your service members. It looks different. It's going to be different. We will make different sacrifices, but that was incredibly powerful and empowering to me. And to Liz's point, like, if you don't get the job, keep applying, keep going, because it will happen. One thing that can make it much easier is getting plugged into the Military Spouse Professional Network, both if we have one close to where you are located geographically, but also online. And I cannot tell you the power of a network is instrumental in getting a job, maintaining a career, and being able to do that over a military career. So that's what I'll say.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for it, Kelly.
Yeah, so I agree with Meredith. Just because you're a military spouse doesn't mean that you can't have a career as well. So, get plugged in with different organizations, such as everyone on this call, who could help you. I think that is the number one thing that I wish I would have done as a new military spouse, was have those resources to help me. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help, but I promise you that the people on the other end of it, such as us working for these nonprofits and different organizations, we are here to help. And most of us have been through what you are going through, or what you need. So we are here to help. And really, Hire Heroes USA, if any of you are actively job seeking, I encourage you to sign up. Talk to your MSAN mentor. They'll be able to provide you a unique link so we could track that you're coming from MSAN. We always like to do that. But yeah, so we are here to really help you throughout your whole search. And you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people don't know how to effectively job search. It's not something that's taught in school or anything like that. It's kind of just an unknown. So we are here to help you, teach you the tips that we found works effectively, and teach you those tips so you could find a career that you really love.
Yep, very true. You're not alone. You have a network of intelligent and knowledgeable and connected and all this kind of amazing people within our community that can help you from step one all the way to that where you need to find employment or find something different. So I just want to tell everybody, MSAN is focused on providing mentorship to brand new spouses, but we never turn anyone away. If you are a spouse that needs support, that needs a mentor, that needs our support, we are here to help you. And more right now with COVID-19, we open our programs to everybody, because we know that right now there's a lot of need, a lot of uncertainty, and probably people just want to talk to someone. So right now our programs are open to everybody. So guys, you're not alone. We're here for you. Thank you, ladies, so much. It was a great night. Too bad that it was just an hour, but like I said, we will continue the conversation very soon. Thank you so much for everything that you do, for your knowledge, for your experience, for your passion, and for supporting our community, and for being the best advocates that we can have, because we rely on you guys to make everything better. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you, everybody. Take care home. Take care of yourselves. Bye.